good.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this fantastic episode of MGD with the main man himself, Dr. Sajid Ansar. And I mean, my relationship with Sajid is very bizarrely twisted. I think he's one of the first few people I met on campus. He was kind enough to lend me his motorcycle to impress women at the in the first week that I joined NID. So he's been some sort of a father figure from them, and it's like a honor and a pleasure to be able to do this on such a fantastic day. Today is his birthday. Today is 18 years of Idea Spice. So big virtual clap for Sajid. What I really wanted to talk about is to ask him a bunch of questions about things that I've always wanted to know about him. He's got this magical ability to connect dots, right? So he's right from the time I met him first, he was able to say the right thing at the right time to the right people, to get the right kind of people together, to kind of create the right kind of events. This group is just a demonstration of something he does so effortlessly. And in this attempt to kind of decode, because I feel there are huge learnings here to kind of understand. I've seen him in so many different roles. I mean, I've seen him as this crazy senior for the first 2 years who was used to destroy egos in ragging, and after that you realize how much of a fantastic experience that was. I've seen him as a boss. He was my first boss. He also got me my first paying job. Like, my first paycheck came from Sajid because of a project he got for me and Shekhar back in the day. He was my first boss, so I've seen him in that kind of a role model as someone who can constantly create inspiration wherever he goes. I've also seen him as a father, which is fantastic. I was around for when Tanaz was born, which was also amazing serendipity. And then in my next in this next phase of life, where he's been a constant figure of mentorship. Like, he's extremely open with advice, extremely kind of forthcoming with any kind of doubt or any kind of thing that one could throw at him. And I feel the crux of it is really this uncanny ability to connect dots. And I just wanted to also, because most of us know him from as this crazy guy from NID, but we have a few people with us today who could maybe shed light on what Sajid is like and what he was like. So I wanted to actually bring in Ajit. Ajit, are you around? Zen, could you spotlight Ajit, please?
Has he gone to the operation theatre? Ajit is there.
Hey, Ajit. Ajit, so we've just met, and so just a little bit of background. Ajit is one of Sajid's oldest friends. They went to Corpus Christi together. And I've always heard legends about this whole Jesus Christ Superstar production that you guys put up. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about Sajid's kind of ability to connect dots and bring people around a common project? And what's been your experience like being his oldest friend on this group?
Yeah, so I think Sajid, I've known him since probably we were roughly around 8 years old. I think, is that correct, Sajid?
Yeah.
And so Jesus Christ Superstar, that was one of the major musical productions that we did when we were in year 12. Unfortunately, there was a sort of a religious twist to it, and it landed up in a lot of controversy. And we had some political parties and some religious groups. Sorry, can I come back? I'm getting a call. Can I come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the operation theatre, that guy is woken up, I think, the student anesthesia.
Sajid, this is the same, that politician who stopped the play, the same call. Like, hey, don't say now. Hey, but Sajid, can you tell us a little bit about that while we're waiting for Dr. Ajit? Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Sure.
And I mean, to be able to organize a large theater production at that age, I mean, what were the kind of learnings that, because you still talk very fondly about it, right?
Yeah. So it was a really good experience. In fact, that also saved me from my own ragging in NID. To give a background, we were doing this play First, there was somebody else called Isaac, a professional theatre director who had sort of come in, and Mary Roy had, the headmistress had brought him in. And we were doing this play, and there was the collector at that time. And Jesus Christ Superstar was an established musical which was playing right across, and one of the best-selling musicals. And when we took it up, and the collector wanted his kid to join school, and she said, "No, we don't work," which is a very tough lady. So he went out and wanted to ban the play, and they put a ban in the play on the day of the play. And Mary Roy, the principal, she didn't want us to leave feeling we were criminals, that no, we've done something wrong. So they just think it was me, Ajit. We, as students, we were put on fighting the case. We had to go meet the judge from the High Court. It's a big learning when you're in, your 12th standard. We had to go do the whole thing, and she fought it all the way to Supreme Court. And it was, I think, 3-4 weeks before I was going to NID. And then she said, we've got the thing, we won the Supreme Court case, and we've got permission to do the play, but the director is not there. Can you get everyone? Everybody was very negative because of the ban. She wanted me to build the N2 back, and the cast was 80 kids. And she wanted to pull it off in around 2 weeks and then make a film on that. And this is before I sort of left for campus. And the kids from 3rd grade all the way to 12th grade, and people were also at that time studying for the entrance 12. So I was actually understudy for almost 6 or 7 different people's parts. Had to sort of work on this, the full play together. And it was an amazing experience because one, you are handling the cast, you're building the N2 of kids during holidays to come back to school. And the video production, nobody in Kottayam would do it because it was a case. And then my dad had to lean on somebody in Kollam and said, "You better make the video, otherwise we'll sort of shut you down." We got these video guys, and I made my first video production of a 1.5 hour film when I was in my 12th, directed it, shot it, and then we had to edit it in Kollam. And I remember that the edit had a lot of complications at the time because it was shot with actual sound. And there were still a few scenes left to finish off, and I had to go for NID. And I got into the train, said goodbye to everybody. And I remember passing Cochin from Kollam. I had left, and the answer to that question is Kollam. I'm from Kollam. I was passing Cochin, and I felt that I have not finished this film, and I was just feeling that very incomplete. I didn't want to go to NID without finishing it. So I got off the station, didn't think. I just got off and took a bus and went back home and rang the bell. And my parents were like, "What happened?" I said, "I wanted to finish the film." And I'm just thinking of my parents that one, they couldn't understand what I was going to study, supporting that. And they understood why I came back. They knew my personality or character, and they didn't even get angry. "What the hell are you doing?" And my grandfather said, "No, I'll fly you down. Don't worry. You finish the film and go." And that experience was something else. And I'm glad you asked that. Ajit also was part of this whole thing. He's back and he can continue on the same.
Yeah, Ajit. Any memories from that time?
Sorry, I missed that part. What were you talking about?
Talking about Jesus Christ Superstar and Mrs. Roy and the whole going to the judge and handling the case and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I still remember. I think we met one of the retired Supreme Court judges to ask him about how we can take this forward. And Sajid, you remember that trip to Cochin?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was a big experience, isn't it? That 12th standard kids, trying to sort this out. And I think Sajid, you led that whole project in a most amazing way, where you coordinated all the actors, and then obviously we had to get police protection, and then we had to go to court, and finally we managed to do it.
That's an incredible story. I mean, at that age, to be able to do all of this insane connecting the dots between like legalities and and you also talk. I think one of the also things that I've observed is Sajid has this unique ability to draw out the best in mentors, right? Like, so if he has like a mentor figure around, like he's able to actually completely juice out those people. I mean, and I think this is also a recurring trend that I've seen happen. So he talks so fondly about his college principal, his school principal. Sorry. I mean, would you be able to tell us a little bit about what she was like and what that relationship was like?
Sajid, maybe you want to tell him, or
you can start.
Yeah, you guys could tell us together. Yeah.
why don't you start off, Sajid?
So Mary Roy was, I mean, I'd come from Rishi Valley. I mean, my first years were in Rishi Valley, and my parents wanted me to be back in Kerala for 2 years. And this lady was, I mean, she's a fireball, hardcore feminist, stood up for women's rights. And we were taught that way. I mean, if guests had to come, we were from the hostel, so we used to go there, and she used to make us serve the food and say the girls should sit and the guys should do the stuff. And the way she used to speak, one story I give is on Monday morning, you sing the biblical hymns, and everybody is bored in the audience, and all the kids are singing. So she said, she stopped on the board, she wrote, this vulgar song saying, that go balls had no balls at all. Hitler had something similar, but Himmler had no. And everybody was zapped, and she wrote this, and everybody's all giggling. And then she's okay, when do you guys sing this song? She taught us the song, and we were screaming. All the kids were damn happy. Then she said, okay, stop. Can you sing the hymns like this? And her way of education was brilliant. And she used to tell us things like, wear shorts to class. Once you start corporate, this thing, you can't do it. When you grow a beard, why are you guys shaving? You'll have to go into that whole mold. And the day before the exams, she'd throw a party, and you had to collect your hall tickets at the party. Otherwise, you won't get your hall tickets. So she didn't want us to study the night before. And she was amazing. And she used to put us in charge of stuff way beyond our responsibility. So I came in from this beautiful bubble called Rishi Valley, where everything is perfect. And my first SUW assignment was, she called me and she said, this lady has been raped by her husband. She has to go to court. She might get beaten up on the way. So you go along and make sure she doesn't get beaten up. And that was my, assignment. And this is the world. This is reality. So
that's amazing.
And she's amazing. She was short-tempered. She would expect excellence. And if you falter, she will she will tell you on your face what it is. And that was brilliant to get someone like that. And in fact, me and Ajit, and we were both at the time house captains. And she would give us responsibility. Even teachers were reporting to us, and probably the kids were running the school. And that's brilliant to get someone like that. So I would say that, she was one of the key formative parts of my life, was getting someone like her. Till then, till my 10th, I was an average student in IGM. I mean, in Rishi Valley, problem reports. I was a problem child, actually. But I came in 11th and everything completely changed. And she didn't want us to study. It was extracurricular throughout. But surprisingly, in my 12th, I taught and sports, IAC. But it's just the way she sort of managed to bring out the best in people. So, I mean, she was a fantastic influence. So.
Incredible.
Ajit, you want to add to that?
I also want to ask you, Sajid, obviously, because I've witnessed the power of Don Coilon on first hand, right? Because I landed up for Sajid's wedding, at 3 a.m. after missing multiple, buses and trains and all of that. I landed up at Coilon at Kollam station 3 a.m. Without underwear, because my underwear had flown off in the Mangalore beach. And I had no clue how I'm going to get to his house, and I'd already missed like 1.5 days of festivities. And then suddenly at the station, I hear this announcement on the station PA that Ayaz Basrai, whichever platform you are at, please wait there. There is a car coming for you. And this is like there were 3 announcements that actually took me that time to register that my name is on the station PA, right? So this is like, I was the first brush with Don Coilon, right? So I just want to ask, I just want to bring in Tanaz and Zain really quick here to tell us a little bit about, what Sajid's relationship was with his dad. Sajid sadly lost his dad a few years ago, but I've seen the magic in that relationship. And he was a very, very, very strong figure to have around, extremely loving. He was able to actually bring the whole family under his embrace, and everyone who met him felt like part of his family. He brought that to our studio for sure. He was this larger than life figure. And I just want to get Tanaz and Zain to tell us maybe a few fun stories which show really how close Sajid and his dad were. The legendary Don Coilon. Shijna's there.
Hi.
Hi.
So Zain wants to go first.
Okay. Okay, Zain, you can go. Zain.
They had a close relationship that his father used to embarrass him and make him wear dresses. And Bappa couldn't do anything because his father was the boss of him. So they had a very strong relationship.
I think I'll let Tanas talk. Then he'll embarrass me further than my dad. I think.
I would have paid good money to see Sajid in a dress.
I think relationship wise, it was just they stayed like every morning we'd get like a notification from Papa saying good morning or like some forward, and whenever Papa posted anything or there was any photo of him on like a magazine or YouTube or something, it would get forwarded to like his whole WhatsApp list. Like everyone would get forwards, and even his thing of Papa used to like taking photos of like everything, and like he'd make all of us pose like until we'd be like, okay, like enough. And I think Papa's also inherited that where he'll make us like pose for everything, and they make sure that like we have so many memories and everything's documented because of both of them. And their both relationship, I know that Papa always speaks about how they were always like supporting Papa with everything that he wanted to do and design and college, and they sent him to boarding school. So that's a few things of their relationship. Even I'd like to say, whenever we go back to Kollam, like I've obviously like been brought up here, like I haven't lived there, but whenever we go, it's always like everyone knows us, like I'm a family with everyone, be it like the supermarket guy, like we go in and then they already know Papa and like Papa, like and we get like special treatment. So that's a few things.
Sajid, there's one embarrassing story about your puncture repair, no?
Oh yeah, well, Uncle, you should tell that story.
That's a Arnab story. So when I first came on campus, I tried to keep the politics story out of campus and this thing. And once I'd gone on a bike ride with Arnab, we were in the outskirts of Ahmedabad and got a puncture, and we pushed the bike, and the tire puncture guy had to be a Mallu guy. So we went and he was fixing it. Arnab was waiting outside of the bike, and I'm speaking to him, where are you from? All Mallus, the first thing you'll ask, that's the first thing you'll ask each other. So we are bonding. Then he says in Kerala, then he says Kollam, then he says Kollam, where this, that, and he figures out father, grandfather. And our man started, he was damn excited, and this, and your grandfather's done this for my family, this, that. And when it was over, he's not taking money. So Arnab suddenly is that, why the hell is this guy not taking money? He's like, I said, nothing, Arnab, let's go. Arnab said, I have to find out. This is quite, I've never seen someone not take money. So Arnab came and asked the guy, why you didn't take money from him? He said, no, this guy is big shot, you don't know who he is. And that story, Arnab, in his style, made it something else. He came back to campus and said, this guy licked his tires, and he was, fawning all over him. And he made a story in my town that if anybody walks below my height, heads will get chopped off. So to torture people, I lie on the ground. So they all have to dig and stuff like that. So Arnab only sort of, and Suresh and Deepak then came to Kollam, and they had a blast. And so you've seen the first time. But that's the Arnab story of how the news leaked on campus.
That's incredible. And so this now brings us to Ahmedabad, right? So now Sajid is in Ahmedabad. And so I wanted to ask you, Sajid, what was, I think most of us know you at NID, but there was also like, so when I joined NID, you were already living a parallel life, right? You had like you were like this mythical senior who used to come and destroy students, at ragging, and you used to come straight from core emballage, and that was your first job, right? With again a crazy mentor, Sunil Handa. So can you tell us a little bit about what that was like, your first job, and in parallel with what was going on at?
So what I felt is after I finished NID, I had a sense that yes, I was doing a lot of parallel businesses. While I was studying, I was doing outside. In fact, I used to give a lot of you guys work. I used to bring it back, and probably running a full parallel industry almost. But
me and Shekhar ate food for one semester based on that work that you got.
yeah, but I felt that there's a lot to learn as an entrepreneur. I felt that as a designer, if you want to grow, you've got to understand entrepreneurship. And there are a few people in the call. In fact, Zama was doing a project on Eklavya, and I remember she had come back and she was speaking a lot about Sunil Handa, what he's like, and the whole thing of the Eklavya school project is when I heard about it first. And Handa came to campus and spoke, and he was like one madman. The way he spoke, his intensity. There was one crazy thing about him, and there was an article in a magazine which spoke about him being one of the toughest guys to work for. And something in my mind, I don't know what that internal torture was. I felt I have to work for someone like this. And that's around the time when Mosim, I think my batch, was doing a dip, and he said something to Sunil Bhai that he can't do it, and he caught him by the collar, pulled him down the lift and threw him out of core. And the faculty all told me, you can't go and work there. Again, I was feeling probably I need this from someone. I went for the interview. I told Handa, look, I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for an apprenticeship. 4 years I'll give you, and I just want to learn entrepreneurship. And so that I don't know, in his own mind, he made it like boot camp. His thing was, let me see how much I can push this guy. And I wanted to see, let me see how much I can take. So he would tell me random things, give me a bunch of boxes and say, go to the road, sell it and come back. Go for 2 weeks, work in the factory and run the machines. And he felt that I don't want you to think in an ivory tower. You got to feel how the factory guys, how they run the machines. He would say, okay, next half an hour, take undeserved train, go to Chennai, do this and come back. He'd send me, and I remember this, and part of what I realized is there was this cloak of impossibility which he used to create. These Japanese guys had come once, and there were these glass bottles which were breaking. They've gone all over the world and they couldn't solve it. And there were some crores worth of losses were happening. And he calls me to his cabin. He tells the Japanese guy, this guy is one design genius. You come tomorrow, it will be solved. And I'm just waiting there. He says, okay, go, start work. And you can't say anything back to Honda. And that's the kind of, he just says, by tomorrow it will be solved. He just commits to the client, this genius is going to solve it. And you're under the pressure and you somehow do it. And that's what Honda should do. He used to make you do impossible things and impossible deadlines and load you with so much of stuff. So, and I guess a lot of learning happened. He used to make me sit next to him, watch him negotiate. And one story I remember, he was sitting and negotiating, I think it was Asian Paints. And there, when you have a corrugated box that you're selling, 1 rupee, when you're buying lakhs of boxes every month, it can cost in crores. So they're negotiating on these small little things. And I'm just sitting there and taking notes and watching him, and he's negotiating with the head of purchase. And that guy saying, sir, this, and he's saying no, and he's being his abrasive self. And somewhere in between, the guy said, we better close the deal because in 2 days you're coming to meet the CEO. And he put the phone down. Then Honda told me this guy's screwed. So I said, I didn't understand. Why is he screwed? He said, he revealed that the CEO has asked him to close the deal. In these companies, he never meets the CEO. I'm not going to close the deal till half an hour before going, and I'm going to increase the price half an hour before, and he has to agree. I'm like, really? And he played it out to script. Half an hour before leaving, he suddenly said there's some problem with the paper. We have to increase the price, and that guy had to give in because he has to close it before. So just to get these nuances, I think that 4 years was a fantastic lesson in entrepreneurship. And at the end of it, I became like a son almost to Mr. Honda. It's like he sent me to IIM. He paid for it. I had salary during that time. When I came back, he made me start a company, go buy machines, set up. He said, why didn't you build a company at my expense and see how it is? So Eco, many of you know the corrugated. So I was doing all those crazy explorations. And the idea for the contest actually came from Diana. I think she was working on this. There was some, forget some plastic material where she'd done this fashion and stuff. And
Crispy.
So she had said, why don't you do this with corrugated? And it's quite interesting how the dots connect. And the whole idea, if you remember, of that, the whole competition, all you guys did some crazy stuff, and Longri did those rocking chairs and stuff. And that went on national TV. It became a massive thing. And I was going to go away to Swinburne and study entrepreneurship after that again. And it's again a week before, and Honda said, I'll send you to IIM. You set up a new company. What you're doing is amazing. So it's quite interesting how that lesson was brilliant.
No, and I mean, speaking of connecting the dots, I mean, so all of us are here at this, this kind of incredible, sort of format, Sajid, that you kind of almost single-handedly created, right? It's amazing that most of us are here, because of, I mean, it's, in the middle of a pandemic, people are still able to kind of connect, share information, share inspiration, share such incredible kind of learnings. I've been learning so much based on these sessions, right? And I mean, what's really incredible is to be here on your birthday and to kind of celebrate this amazing day with you. So I mean, it's actually
what is saying?
it's been quite a
I knew something had to come up like this. I knew it. What are you saying?
I mean, it's
Happy
actually
birthday, Sajid.
really, really fun thing, Sajid.
Put it to gallery view.
What are you saying?
Gallery view, man. Gallery view.
Wait.
My God, this is like
Gallery
a.
view.
As if you're going to try and make me cry, I'm not going to.
சுருக்கருக்கா முக்கா முழம் போட்டே மாறி கொழுந்து கபத்திலும் மாட்டி குடிச்சு பிஸ்தாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா பிஸ்தாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா சுருக்கருக்கா முக்கா முழம் போட்டே மாறி கொழுந்து கபத்திலும் மாட்டி குடிச்சு பிஸ்தாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா பிஸ்தாஸ் மாக்கிரா சோமாரி ஜமாக்கிராயா டமாலே டமா 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 டமாலே டமா டனக்கு நக்கன டே டே டஸ்க்கு நக்கன டே டே டண்டனக்கா டனக்கனக்கா டே 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 டே
Yellow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Best birthday gift ever.
Happy birthday.
Full chaos.
I am impressed with this coordination.
Happy birthday, Sajid.
Thank you so much. This is so
I think our mustache is on for the rest of the
oh इसको नहीं
Happy birthday.
sweet coordination, I say.
Queen of England.
Happy birthday.
Kala singer song, yeah.
So Sajid,
Yes.
can you tell us about how did Dubai happen?
Orient myself back. You didn't miss a beat, Ayaz. Dubai happened because of marriage. Actually, I was going to set up a company. Of all the things, Kala is the most disturbing side. It's like Men in Black about the aliens. With things coming on.
Kala.
Don't cry, Moz.
Don't
Thank you,
cry,
guys. This was really, really sweet.
Happy birthday.
Put on touch.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We
spent months rehearsing
I can
Yeah,
see
many
the
months.
dance moves.
Happy birthday, Sajid.
So
Hey,
tell
मेरे
us
को
about,
मेरे को
tell us
spotlight
about-
करे यार
Hey, deadpan, everybody, flash mob,
Sajid is not crying, okay?
Sajid's eyes are moist.
Sajid, by the way, this is extremely,
I made the mustaches.
it's very well coordinated in our brains, okay? Extremely. It's like Makhan.
What till Ayaz lost the soundtracks?
Hey guys, we will
Never
dissect
give
this.
music to Ayaz.
Stuff.
We will dissect this later, guys. We have a session to get back to. Okay.
Okay.
Order.
Anuj,
After.
mute everybody.
Yeah. Guys, mute yourself, yeah.
What a guy.
Sajid,
I love doing this. Ayaz, you have to unmute. You were asking about Dubai? Again, you want to ask a question?
Yeah. So tell us your earliest memories of Dubai. How did Dubai happen? How did this crazy shift from Ahmedabad to Dubai happen? And tell us a little bit about your early days in Dubai.
Sure. So the idea was to set up a company in Ahmedabad. And after marriage, the idea was I was going to come back. I'd got an apartment, done up the whole place, full decor, senti lighting was all done and set up. And I went to Dubai for DSF because my in-laws were there. The idea was to just go say hi and catch up with them. And so I was there for Dubai and I went with the mindset, like most designers, that if you go to Dubai, it's only about money. You can't do good design and there's no way I'm going to be part of it. And I had my father-in-law saying, do you have a CV? Why do you do it? I was like, very clear, no way. I'm not going to be part of this thing. And around the time I was there, they announced that Media City had opened up in Dubai. There was an internet city. They'd opened Freehold. There were a lot of things suddenly happening exactly around the same time. And the thought came to me that, if there are no design studios and only agencies, maybe there is a market and maybe it's something random. And by then, whatever money I had saved, I had blown up in IKEA. I went crazy in IKEA. It was first time seeing IKEA. 3 days I was there, shopped like mad for this house in Ahmedabad. So me and Srinath discussed that we'll go back to IKEA. And if IKEA takes the stuff back and gives us money, we'll stay in Dubai. If they say no, we're going to Ahmedabad. So that decision was really based on IKEA's return policy. And I went over and thank God IKEA said, you bring the stuff back and we'll pay you money. They were quite sweet. So
Ajit, did you research the return policy before going to the store?
No, I just landed up and begged like a sweet balloon. So, but it worked out. And then I decided that I need to work for a few months to get a hang of Dubai before I start business. And I didn't want to take a fancy, high-paying job or work in the city. So I took the first job which came my way. And that's how it happened. And I remember going back, and Sunil Handa had, worked with me for so many years to make an entrepreneur, and he felt this guy is going to go places. And I went back and told him, that he had given me a full floor on Court to start off. He had given me the apartment, and he wanted to really and I went and said, no, I'm going to Dubai and I'm going to take up a job. He was so upset. He was furious. He said, you're going to go to Dubai and it's only about making money. You'll take a job, you'll never start off. So maybe it was good. He said all that stuff because the back of the mind, I said, no, I better start business at some point. And luckily for me, the first job was the worst. It was how not to work. I didn't get paid salary. They would put a ban on anybody who left the company. It was an ad agency which said about, how do you increase the client billing? And I didn't even tell them I was a designer because I wanted to understand the marketing. So my CV didn't have design on it and I was doing marketing. So yeah, that's how Dubai happened. As the host has got kidnapped or taken hostage.
So tell us a little bit about that legendary phone call with Roy.
That's the funniest phone call. So once I sort of decided to start the company, I felt, I should hire. And like most people in Dubai, you feel that when you go to Bombay to hire, you've got to get this fancy room and interview people. So I taken, again, whatever money I had that time for starting, I took a room in Taj and booked the conference room and had a whole lineup of people to interview. In my head, I had this thing of, if I'm starting a design company, it's got to be somebody who's also strategic, because there was that Honda and the IM thing, and I wanted this thing of strategy and design. It's got to be a business-led design firm was in my mind, and everybody I interviewed didn't work out, and it was damn frustrating. And at the end of the day, I'd lost the money on that place, and I was sitting with Una and Ayaz in Taj, and fully depressed, saying that it's not working out, and I've not found somebody, and I've started a company. And both of them said, this guy you're mentioning who does design, and there's one guy called Roy. I didn't interact much with Roy, and who's full paperwork, and he's the process guy you're speaking about. So let's call him and tell him. So now imagine Roy, who's been ragged so badly by me. He's getting a call from the other prank master, Ayaz, and me together. And we're calling him and saying, he's just finished his graduation. He's just given his DIP document. He gets a random call saying, guess what? There's a company in Dubai and you're hired. And Roy was like, yeah, right. And he's hanging up. And Ayaz is convincing him, then Una is convincing him, and he felt Una also was onto this. And we took an hour. My first employee, I had to convince him that, there is actually a company in Dubai. I actually own the company and we are starting off, and you are the first employee and you have a job. And Roy was upset, saying, how can you hire me? You haven't even seen my work. So I said, okay, you come tomorrow, you show me work, and then I'll hire you. So Roy took a train. I saw the work at just around the corner in Bombay, and I said, you're hired. Then he was, he believed it. And that's how the first hire happened. Yeah, Ayaz, you were part of that story also. You're a scary guy. You like stalking me.
Yeah, I am. This is just like a screensaver. Look behind you.
Johan has a question also.
There's something really interesting about this idea of you being the original Enthu cutlet, right? So how much of a role does just like a bottomless enthusiasm have to play in all the stuff that you're doing? Because it almost looks like you went to Handa asking for punishment. It almost looks like your school principal was just like a taskmaster, and you've got to discover reserves of enthusiasm within I mean, within
Like your parenting now, Ayaz. You're getting tortured. But
So maybe you can answer that while I go and deposit this guy and outside and come.
okay, go for it. But yeah, it's a good point, Ayaz. I think in a way, the mentors have played a massive role, if you ask me. And I can actually trace back the dots from starting from my grandfather, my parents, or my dad. For his dad was, I would say, the original Entu Cutlet. Interestingly, I was telling Ayaz yesterday that Shizna's dad is probably 3x of my Entu. So Shizna doesn't feel it's a big deal. This is not Entu. So he's like the original. In fact, Ayaz Roy and all used to call my father-in-law Red Bull. That was a pet name without him knowing, because he used to come to the office and when he leaves, everybody is fully recharged. So my dad is another majorly Entu Cutlet. So I think that Entu was just expected to be a way of life. And if there was a wedding, my dad would be there the night before. He would be himself pulling the chairs and arranging the food. Even though somebody we didn't know. And me and my brother also had to tag along, and we were just expected to do it. To help people. And I remember my grandfather's lesson saying that in life you've got to do favors and not take favors. You've got to be able to touch as many lives, and it's not now, it's the next generation which should get the benefit of whatever you've done. So I guess these kind of early lessons or things would have been the Entu Cutlet part, like you're asking us. You finished your deposit?
Yeah, temporarily. So Sajid, like one of my most abiding memories of coming to Dubai was really the scale of work that you had already managed to to kind of to initiate, to kind of start these processes. And what is really amazing being part of some of those meetings, I just want you to share that story about what is the first few clients like? What is your journey like? I mean, how did this world's largest shopping cart happen on one side to doing these crazy mall graphics, to kind of branding townships and cities, and I mean, there's just been a steady increase in terms of the kind of scale of work that you've managed to attract and pull off, and also make it look effortless. So what's the secret sauce?
I don't know really how to answer that, but then I remember when each time we used to pick up, we had a ritual when a new person joined. I remember when Roy joined, there's a guy called Faisal, like another Kida guy, just like Ayaz. So we'd pick these guys from the airport, and while driving, we'd say, see, that thing is done by us. So we should just make fake things and say, this project is ours. The whole of Dubai, we should say, like, we've done. It was a humor, this thing at that time. I guess there was a lack of fear. I would probably, if I look back at the roots, I'd look at 3-4 people. One, yes, my dad would take on stuff which is way beyond the scale. Mrs. Roy or Mary Roy used to put stuff on us which was way beyond which was ever done. Like I remember her making me do the school magazine in 2 weeks, and it wasn't a printed one, it was typed. It was a massive, I got the original with me now. It was fully typed, and all the school kids illustrated and did stories. And it was done in 2 weeks, and I was expected, and you could do it. And Sunil Honda, like this Japanese story, he'd just say it had to be done, and it would be done. And when we came to Dubai, yes, in fact, I kept you guys busy. There were no really projects at that time. If you remember, our first projects were, there was some Sharjah, one guy wanted to do a bathroom fitting car flyer, and we still wanted to do the design process. The guy's wondering, what are you doing? And we were researching all the stores, talking to the consumers, and we are following Ranjan's format. And he was like, damn confused. What the hell are you guys doing? And, questioning whether you really need a flyer or not. And I guess following that principle, that word of mouth happened. I think the focus, maybe from a business perspective, was what do you do? Forgetting design, how do you ensure the client's business triples or doubles after you interact with them? That used to be the code, if you remember, right from the beginning, that let's look at the problem. Who are the people? Is the purchase guy going to be a problem? What's the dynamic in the room? Who's going to stop us from doing good design? Those were the cues we used to keep speaking about. And it was about how do you make sure they are going to get impacted? And we've got to stop whoever comes in the way in the most sweetest way possible. And I remember that shopping cart, and like I was saying, because we didn't have a structural engineer with us. There was a client who had no money and they wanted to be famous. There was a mall which is the back of Beyond, and there was another mall which was spending in millions. And we just said for fun that we can build the world's largest shopping trolley and people will come to see it. And the guy said, okay, good idea. Can you do it? And we just said, yeah, we can do it. And we didn't think how, what, and the Guinness Book has a rule, you can't just blow it up big, it has to function like a real shopping trolley. So it has to have all the axle, wheels, this, and the guy gave us one piddle shit. At that time, I think it was $8,000 to pull this off and the promotion. Yeah, we said, yeah, we're going to do this. And luckily, again, Ayaz, Roy, these are all people who just believed, okay, this guy is saying it's possible. I guess that Honda thing must have translated and we made it possible. And that was a massive success. The model did well. And again, the client was the second generation who came in and we made him look good and he grew and we grew with them. And I mean, when the trolley was moved, the ruler's office wanted all these Guinness books to be exhibited together. And I remember the crown prince coming and the one next to it, it just toppled and fell and missed the prince by, I think 5 minutes. And we were saying that, without structural engineering, we did, if it had fallen, we both would have been, in. So yeah, we took on a lot of the stuff. I remember, again, Ayaz and the other Entu buddies, Cabra, when he had come and we had got this thing from JVC and they had a problem with building in Africa and we hadn't done fit out before. And they said, we want to build these showrooms which can be assembled in 2 days by your workers across Africa. And we just said, yeah, we'll do it. Then we called Cabra. His project became that develop a modular system which can be put up in 2 days. And Cabra was told, you have to do it. And you have to do it while you're doing other projects on the thing also. And we pulled it off. And I remember that was our massive billing. We did this, right? And Ayaz was sent to Senegal and Tunisia. And he went all over with this bunch of 3-4 guys. And he had to install this. And so I guess, yeah, it was really, I remember in Global Village, all the biggest companies in Dubai pitched. And we did this crazy out of the box thing and we won that contract. So scaling and when Bandish project, remember when Udayan was had come and we want to do a soundtrack. And what we said is, we're going to brainstorm that we're going to develop a city. And we had this fun, crazy, weird thing. And Roy saying about perspiration. And we're talking about how people are sweating and we're brainstorming. And he's mixing the soundtrack. And quite interestingly, 3-4 years down the line, we got the branding for Dubai, which was a complete tourism thing. And I think it's all this humor and stuff, maybe something, and we're talking about vision board and stuff. Maybe it was humor, vision boards, or, something which is linking. We were just having fun and believing things were possible.
No, and I also want to ask you a little bit about this because like I've seen you so many times in in the middle of a meeting or in the middle of in a fairly impromptu session to drop ideas that tend to resonate beyond time, right? I don't know how many people on the group know that the name UTM was coined by you, right? I mean, that's one. Then there's this icosahedron prank which has been, I think, probably going on forever. During ragging, it's made like multiple people cry. From able-bodied men have cried based on the icosahedron. There's I think the first cultural day was you, right?
Yeah, me and Suresh had organized. Suresh was SAC president. I was the cultural committee.
So I mean, how do you manage to kind of spark these things at the right time, at the right place, with the right people, so that they live on for so long?
That's a tough question to answer. I don't know how I'll answer that. But from a client perspective, if I project that back, and you've been part of this, so one thing I realized, if from my learnings that, and what I've taken, and I want to just put one thing together that, and I'm going to give back mutual senti to Ayaz, that when I started Idea Spice, I had a lot of the Honda hangover also. I was very tough. I would want everyone to come at 5 a.m. We work 7 days a week, if there was work or not. We were there 18 hours a day. In fact, she's nice to come to the office to meet, if you remember, and get food. And we had a shower cubicle and bunk beds in the office. And it was just about work. And I remember I was short-tempered, and I don't know if it was Ayaz's strategy or whatever, but he suggested I better go for Vipassana. And he said, you have to go. And I don't know whether he wanted me to change, but he felt it's going to really help me in my life. And I came back as a different person, and my whole approach to work, balance of life, self, it sort of did a before, after, and I had to thank Ayaz for that. And there's another story I remember once that for some strange reason I saw Ayaz's work on Behance or one of these sites, and for some insecurity, I freaked out. I called Ayaz and said, how the hell is your work on this thing online and you're trying to get work while you're working? I hung up and I drove furious, again, same Honda style. I walked inside the office yelling at Ayaz, and Ayaz in his way is smiling. He's on his computer. He looks up at me, zero affected at all. And I'm yelling at the top, probably spit is flying out. Ayaz gets up, walks over to me, hugs me, and goes back and works. And that was like, sort of, it just reframed me. And I was thinking, my God, that I have this full, there's this guy who's zero affected. And I remember thinking that, this is not a way to work with a design studio. And there was that fun and the Kida had to be part of it. And I would attribute these two both to Ayaz, the Vipassana, and this one act of just hugging and not being affected by my yelling. So thank you for that, Ayaz. So coming back to your question, that a big learning for me was, which is away from the Honda philosophy, was when you're with a client, if you want to really gain their trust, you've got to become their best friend, is something which I learned. And it's got to be regardless of their personalities, regardless if you like them, they've got to have that trust. And I've realized that with entrepreneurs, you've got to get their trust, and they give you the trust when they feel that you're going to change their business. And in Dubai, very early, we realized that none of the agencies wanted the SME clients, and 85% of Dubai is SME clients. All the agencies wanted the multinationals. And very early, I realized with multinationals, the templates are given, you're talking to a brand manager, you don't meet the CEO, you're making a really small impact with big billing. And I realized that I didn't want big billing. I wanted to do work for clients and really be able to change their lives. So we focus on SME clients, and in SME clients, the large population is the Sindhis and the Malayalis. That's 70% of the 85%. In that, we realized that the second generation is open for change. They've gone to UK, US, they've come back and they want to change. So we zero down onto this second generation entrepreneurs of the Malayali and the Sindhi community. And with these two communities, you'll realize that they are completely ROI driven. Nobody believes that these clients will pay. But we realize that if they're coming to you and you're talking not about design, but about ROI. We worked for 10 clients who did restaurants. We did this and their restaurant business went up 5 times. We did this, they're now a franchise. We worked on this for them, we solved this, and these are clients who are businessmen. Once they realize there's ROI, they trust you, and it's a lifetime value. There's a calculation called a lifetime value, which is not your first billing. Was also my philosophy, which is not about the hours, it's not about man hours. It's about the trust where they see the ROI. And once an entrepreneur gets trust, gets friendship, and you're making a difference, they will not go anywhere. There is nobody else with an RFP. There's nobody else with undercutting who can come inside. There's no purchase department. There's nobody else who asks for kickback. And you've got that trust. And that comes from billing for design, but doing business changes where you're observing what's wrong with them. You're seeing the change. You're seeing it's an employee. You're then providing training for that employee. You're looking at even how they're picking up the phone call. I remember in the radio station, ARN had launched and we were doing the work. I used to call in different voices to make sure that the station looks busy. Besides doing the thing that, it has to look like the phone is ringing. So I should do Tamil accent, this accent, and keep calling just to sort of keep the phone ringing off the hook. So you remember all those things as another answers to question.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I actually want to open up the floor a little bit. I actually want to ask a couple of people to tell us their first Sajid memories. So I want to start with Suresh, and maybe Suresh could nominate, maybe we have time for 5 or 6 first memories with Sajid. Can I highlight Suresh?
One second, he's on mute also.
With Suresh, Eeks or Venkat. Okay, the
Let's
spotlight
start
is
with
on.
Venkat.
Okay, so one of, I won't tell you the first memory, but I'll tell you an interesting memory. So Sajid and I came up with this idea of doing Cultural Day. I know Cultural Day is quite a bad name. We should have come up with a cooler name. So we created something called the Bharatiya Janata Party. We have a big party tonight. Everybody come dressed and to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So we went and put up posters everywhere all over campus saying, with LK Advani saying the party is the most important. You have to attend the party tonight. And with Lotus and all. We put up handmade posters all over. And about 2 hours later, MGD called us, Suresh and Sajid, I'm very concerned. Something has happened. So apparently all the staff who live in the staff quarters and all the Seva women thought that there was an actual BJP campaign going on inside the NID campus. NID students have been very apolitical over all these years. I'm very concerned. So Sajid and I were called. Okay. And Century thought Sajid is a BJP mole because his father is in politics and all. He must have some internal BJP connections. though the fact that Sajid is Mauzi and his father is Congress politician escaped. The fact that he has political connections, we were called, and so quickly we were told, please go and take everything off. So we ran back to the hostel and we started ripping off all the posters. And all the Seva women and the staff came and told us, why are you doing this? Good. Let the posters be there. We need BJP on campus. Our first brush with political activism and our last brush with political activism was first Cultural Day.
Awesome. Can I invite Sheetal?
Where is the Sheetal?
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
Sheetal, pass on to someone else who you know has an interesting Sajid story.
I have too many Sajid stories, but I do also, besides of NID, I did experience Kollam. And I don't know who I went with to Kollam. And Sajid said, no, you come and you come and have a meal in my house and whatnot. And, I just did not knowing, I think I'd already known Sajid 3 years. We were besties, all of that. I used to ride on his bike. And that's why that was probably my reason to be his bestie, was I wanted to sit on the back of his bike. I go to Kollam, and I even though I knew Sajid for so long, I just had no visualization of what this little town, but this little white mansion that you get into, and then his dad decides to sorry?
Owned by Don Kollam.
Yes. So his dad decides to take us for a drive. And I'm sitting in the back of the car. And the lane is really tiny. And we get in and the whole village is coming to say hi, whatever. And the car gets off the road because his dad has, I don't know whether it was a special day or he really drove like that, but he was like, ha, driving like a movie star. Like, it went off the road and we were all like sitting and I was like that. And no one was zapped about it. Everyone was calm in the car. And literally the people from the town just came and lifted the car, put it back on the thing, and we continued driving like as if nothing had happened. Do you remember that, Sajid?
I remember that. The fisherman had pulled it out. Yeah.
I mean, I had the best meal ever. And now when I see all the pictures on Instagram, this is a meal in Sajid's house. So it's his mom cooking and his grandmother. We met his grandmom. It was just beautiful. When I see the pictures now, it's just amazing to see how he's taking it forward for his kids. So it's really, I mean, of course, Sijna. I mean, not such, but I'm giving credit.
Sajid consumes those experiences. It's mostly Shijna.
Yes. No, I give credit to Sijna completely.
Hey, I have another superb story, by the way. But this is Pushi's story. But it's such a good story that I have to tell it on behalf of Pushi. Okay, so visualize the scenario. Pushi is in Dubai.
Pushi shared this in his session.
Oh, he did already? Okay.
Quickly, before you do punchline.
Fine. Somebody else then.
Nice. Suresh, can you nominate one more person? Then we have a small behind the scenes video to show, and then I think we can say goodnight.
Maybe we should drag Sijna and make her talk.
Okay, I'm nominating Siddharth Kabra.
Where is the Kabraish?
Kabraish is there. He's there, bottomish part of the screen.
Hi.
Oh, Kabrastan.
So I have many first memories of Sajid. So when I joined NID, Sajid was not around, right? So he was working at Core Embalage, and all the people who used to rag us, like Ayaz, used to tell us, ye sab to kuch bhi nahi hai, you wait for Sajid. One day he'll come in his Maruti car and he will rag the hell out of you. So anybody who used to rag us used to say, no, you wait for Sajid. And Sajid never came actually. But, by that time we had created an image of Sajid in our head, which was so, what do you say? It was so bad that, this monster is going to come and he rags people. And after that, of course, I went to Dubai. Ayaz called me, and that is the time when I first got to interact with Sajid. And there are a lot of crazy stories. Sajid actually ragged me in Dubai, and I don't think that's the story for this group, but it was quite a yeah. It's not a story for this audience. It was extremely embarrassing and all of that. But I met Shijna over there and had some great food that Shijna used to make, and I used to, every time I used to feel hungry and not want to have a shawarma, I used to go to Sajid's place. Or if I run out of for mobile balance, I used to go to Sajid's place and give calls to my girlfriend from home. Yeah.
Oh, that's how the bills were. I didn't realize also.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think?
Sajid,
I was
you
the
threw,
chore.
Sajid, you
And
threw them out of the house also. Tell that story.
I
No,
was
that was Shijna. Shijna threw us out.
not Shina. So Ayaz and Roy came to our house. They were working, and they said temporary accommodation. We'll help you find a place. And then they said they're looking every day. And like this, 2 months passed. And these buggers are not looking for a house.
Ajit, Roy will clarify the story after this.
And one day, these guys were discussing how do we decorate our room. I overheard them. And one day I heard Roy asking Sheena, where are my undies? So these guys were like fully settling in. So I responded, I said, guys, pack your bags. I'll find you a place in the next 5 minutes. And I put them in the worst apartment. It was close by, but there are other stories to that apartment. But we had to throw them out when Roy asked for his undies.
Roy, are you there?
Hey, Dhiraj, we need a story from Dhiraj.
Where is Dhiraj? You must remind
Dhiraj
me.
Banerjee, he's there somewhere.
Who's
Luckily,
spotlight
he's
on?
not.
Tough to find people. I'm trying to figure out.
Dhiraj Banerjee, there he is, unmute. And you're muted, Dhiraj.
He's typing all sweet things on chat. So I'm hoping it's the same.
Yeah, okay, Dhiraj, give one Mozzie story.
Sajid was very sweet, yeah. He's a damn sweet guy. I swear I'm going to get very sentimental today. I'm telling you honestly speaking. I'm telling you honestly speaking. He was the sweetest guy I've known in the entire community ever. He's really sweet guy. His heart's pure gold, and he's extremely emotional, extremely sensitive. And Sajid is absolute gold. So you're very lucky to get a guy like this. He's absolutely pure gold, man. I've never met a guy like this guy.
I'll transfer the money to
First year at NID, Sajid was so sweet. He used to take care of animals. He would run behind squirrels. And I never met. I came from a boarding school. So I had a tough. I was a boarding school guy who's so sweet like this. For me, it was a revelation. Obviously, the Arnab and me sort of ganged up against Sajid off and on, and because we came from a very different kind of boarding school. Sajid was such a sweet. Anything you asked, he was full of emotion, full of advice, always giving. Amazing guy, absolutely amazing guy. I don't think I've ever met anybody like Sajid later. Sajid A1, man. Super.
Thank you.
Super. And I'm getting damn emotional today about this.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for being emotional. Make me emotional now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's a squirrel
Senti
story.
Mozzie, always.
Yo, squirrel story. Sheetal, I hate your squirrel story.
A squirrel called Abdul, and I will
And the
please ask
fish
Sajid
and all
to
that.
tell you the story so that we don't waste everyone else's time.
So, guys,
I know Abdul.
thank you very, very much, Sajid. We just have one final thing to show you, which is a little bit of a behind the scenes, which was actually supposed to happen. Hey.
No, don't worry. Just a few slides to give you guys a
Oh,
background.
yeah.
Sorry, Ayaz. You had something else behind the scenes.
No, go for it.
No, go for it.
No, go for it.
Arey, what is go? Somebody go for it.
Somebody go. Pehle aap. No, pehle aap. One ball.
You first.
You're going, I'm going?
Yeah, you're going.
Okay, man. Because you sounded like end of life kind of. So just a few pictures, flashback kind of thing. That's my mom, her sisters, and my grandmother. Super tough lady. She lost her husband. My mom was 6, and she brought up these 3 girls alone. And she's instilled a strong sense of value. So my grandmother was and she got them all educated. She was educated at that time, had a degree. My mom played for the Kerala hockey team back in the day. That's my dad and his brothers. all Don Corleone type of guys only, completely out of Godfather. On the right is my grandmother, and that's my grandfather who passed away very early. That's my mom's thing. Huge business guy. He had the first high-end DeSoto car in Kerala, and I mean, fully a proper trader. This is my other grandfather, who was a style buyer right from there. I think Sheetal has met him. And he was in politics. He was a cabinet minister. He was a governor. And you can see back in the day itself, he was full style boy, posing with guns and full desk. I think he's just signing. There's not much work, but he's looking busy and stuff. But he was quite a solid source of inspiration. That was very, very close relationship with siblings, my brother and my sister. And that's us wearing matching clothes most of the time. I think my mom bought it wholesale, or it was the curtains which got recycled, but we were always in matching clothes. And if you see the middle picture, that's almost like Zain photoshopped into that picture. It's a same hairstyle. If you look at Zain in that thing, it's the same. And that's Dad. He was full on. He used to show the same magic tricks to kids from 2 years to people who are 25 years old. You also magic trick, the same magic trick. It's 2 magic tricks he knew, and which nowadays kids know what the magic trick is. He feels very disappointed, but that's him. And we had a very, very, very close bond. It was like a very close friend, not like a dad. And that's 1981. When I was 8 years old, I went to Rishi Valley. And that's beautiful campus. It was a campus over 350
He's becoming
acres.
Kamal Hassan. He's trying to become Kamal Hassan now. Kamal Hassan is coming back. Kamala is coming back.
The way of teaching was very different. No exams, no competition, no certificates. So I guess the art and creative part would probably have been ingrained from their schools. Pictures from school, if you notice, I have such tight shots. I probably get a hernia in the next year. My mom used to select the most tightest of shots. And again, parents let me go for a Himalaya trek when I was there. On the picture left, the one kneeling on the left is me. So I went when I was less than 8 years old. And also at that time, I think responsibility, when I was 10, my parents sent me alone. I took a train, took a bus, hitchhiked. And I guess a sense of responsibility was put in very early. And I just sort of had to deal with it. That's Mary Roy was speaking about, and that's Corpus. These 2 years, probably the best years of my life. Much more than Rishi Valley, everything, the influence which she had. Much smaller school, not so big on campus, built by Laurie Baker, fully sustainable, eco-friendly, right from the early days. And that's her, and she played and I was just finding, I had this list where I used to actually make plans for Mrs. Roy, for all the different teachers, who's going to edit. There were puppet shows. I found this job list which I had every day for people to do, and that's the kind of responsibility which she sort of used to put us. And that's the Manu look. I look 25, but that was in the Jesus Christ Superstar. And yeah, it was quite good getting that the best outgoing students who became like a blue-eyed boy for Mary Roy. And that's from Jesus Christ Superstar, the production. There were kids all the way from 2nd, 3rd standard, and 80 kids in the class. That's me in the orange, seated down there. Then NID happened in 1991. That's the batch. And yeah, so there's geeks and there's the product design batch, the pictures. Monsoon Fiesta used to be the time I should really look forward to all year. I mean, it was the best day. It has been great fun with multiple things happening. It was so yeah. That's from there. That's the first. That's different pictures of Cultural Day. That's me, Bose, and Manna used to try and photobomb all the batch pictures. A lot of angry people saying, "What the hell are these guys doing in these pictures?" We should just. That's how we should land up in most of the Cultural Day pictures in those years. 96 core happened, and that's Handa. Ignored the Bharatanatyam hairstyle. There was a phase afterwards. So, I mean, this is where he called me back to sort of teach in IIM. And he's like a father figure. In fact, he's got a room which is in his house, new house, which is named my room. He's got my pictures and he's framed, and he keeps telling me your pictures are going to be worth $1 million. So he's got the originals framed. So he's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. He keeps telling me you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Then the IIM experience, which was phenomenal. More from the teaching itself, just hanging out with people. At that time, when he sent me, I was, I think, 25. But the average age of that MEP program were people in their mid-50s. And I was budding there also, organizing films and buying stuff and taking. But I learned so much. All of them were heads of Air India and Tata. And these are all senior level guys who are in their 50s. And there was me. That's Shizna with the gold collection. I had to hide from her before sharing this picture. That was our wedding picture. And that's the reason after that I came to Dubai for the shopping festival. That's our Dubai look, how quickly we adapted. So, and that's how I became in Dubai. So very quickly, that time Shizna hated to cook. Only thing she could make was tomato chutney. So I should eat KFC and Snickers and food from petrol pumps. And very quickly, but I used to look at the mirror and say, what a hunk. I never realized I'd become this. And then this was, I got this project where there was a friend of mine from Ahmedabad. If you work with Mihir, he had moved to Ahmedabad to Dubai, and he called me and he was just sharing that I've joined this company called ARN, and it's Sheikh Mohammed has set up this massive radio station, and they met all the agencies and the work sucks, and I missed the crazy work you guys should NID, and I just randomly said I have an agency I can pitch for this, and I don't know, but I did product design, worked in corrugated, and then I was in. You see, the first book I bought was Ogilvy on advertising, and I had to pitch in 2 days. I went, got the brief, and I set this up at home. This is in our home, and on the left, if you see, there was from IKEA again this thing, and I won the pitch. In 2 days later, I went for and I guess this is again the Honda thing of it'll happen, just do it. So read about advertising, made ads, and won it over all the biggest agencies in Dubai, and that's the office being set up, the first office on the right. And that's what the office looked like. That was me alone without any staff. And then this scary people came in. Ayaz used to stick these juice things onto the computer and strange women's pictures on the walls. And it was like Friday market. It looked like Sunday market actually. If you look at the whole this thing. And this is an interesting picture of Roy, me and Ayaz in Core. So I was in Core and we were building this thing for IIM, and I got these guys to butty for me. And the guy who cut this is a guy called Rahul, who was also working. So 4 of us were working, and this interesting, serendipity picture when we did this when I was working in Ahmedabad. And I still had hair. And this is some pictures from, there was a flood in the office, that's us cleaning it. It's all Ayaz's library, these dark Mallu pictures. And I put this picture of this Asianet interview because Asianet came to interview me as a successful Malayali entrepreneur. And while this interview is happening, exactly this view, Ayaz is standing on this side to distract me. He stands there, he takes off his pants without the camera guys, and he's standing there, he's crying like a baby like this to try and I'm talking this very important stuff about Dubai, and he's standing there without his pants and he's crying. And I remember that from this. So this computer also, if you remember, this is one interesting story which we have. You see that swivel computer? There was a client who had briefed us and he was opening this massive company. And me and Roy were sitting and talking, and he comes and sits down in front of this computer for a meeting. And we look at each other, and we had forgotten the meeting was there. And the guy was sitting there, and I remember Roy's eyes were looking like, what the hell am I doing? So I'm doing small talk with the client. And I sat there on the computer while talking, and I designed the full branding for him, I think in 12 or 13 minutes. And that guy still uses it. He's so proud of that logo. It was done while I was talking small talk about this thing, and it was on that computer. And that's the whole reformatting which Ayaz had designed the office. We changed it to this new look. Each person came in blindfolded. They didn't see what the office looked like. And we built even shower cubicles because we lived in the office, and bunk beds because we lived in the office. And that's that crazy shopping trolley with this full axle and dismantleable one, which was bigger than the mall, which we built. And we built a promotion that all the shops had to give one product, and whoever won in the draw got all the products from the shopping trolley. So it's like you're going through the mall and shopping. We made a whole campaign around this, and there was so much PR drive, and we got the most innovative award from Dubai Shopping Festival at that time on a budget of 8,000 dirhams. That's the current office, just little more upgraded, and that horse has no meaning. But when we finished the office, there was no Kida at all. The earlier office had bunk beds. There was a strobe light in the bathroom. We had gone for a rain party, and Ayaz noticed that, when the strobe lights come and when the water falls, it falls like pearls. So he imagined what if you can pee like that and it falls like pearls. So Ayaz got a strobe light in the bathroom, and we called it the Piscotheque. So this office had no Kida. When it got over, it was looking very cool. And I used to pass this shop with this horse. And I used to tell Shezna, which fool is going to buy this horse? And when this office got over, I said, it's become too serious. We need some Kida. And then I became that fool who went and bought that horse, and the horse was there. And I retrofitted a funda to the team saying, we were walking till now. Now we have to gallop in this new office. And one full speech I gave standing in front of this horse. And the Arab clients like it. So it sort of paid off. And that's the horse. And that's the lounge area. And we had this interesting ritual when we built the philosophy. Everybody who joined, they got this wrestler with a note which said that, we don't please the client, we stand up for what's right, and we fight for the right idea for their consumer. And that became the central philosophy. So the guy with the mic at the bottom is Ayaz, there's Roy, and that each person represented one of the characters, and it's a big ritual giving this. That's my cabin where I'm sitting now. This is a Kilimanjaro thing where I was going and I wanted to have an Idea Spice logo. So I told Roy, can you send me the artwork? I'm in Africa. I just want a small flag made. And again, I trusted these guys, and Roy sent this artwork, which was this, and it was sent directly to the Africa guys. And it was supposed to be a small flag, and the Africa guys printed it in this size, where we had to get all these people, and when I unfolded it, it was just, we made it picture. We took the picture, and this was what these guys used to do. So we used to be late for meetings, and Ayaz and Roy used to make the presentations, and I used to pick it up and go without checking the files. And these guys used to put the most randomest picture. I remember there was one coffee mug with fungus, which they hadn't washed in their house. That was one slide. And I had to make a funda for it in the middle of a meeting. Just pop up on the screen. There'd be some weird picture from Romania. There used to be words which used to be made up called flexes. And I used to build up meetings, say, the flexes of this. And the client would say, nod and say, yes, exactly, flexes. And then we know this is going to be a lying client because he's saying, yeah, flexes, I understand. And if a client says, what is flexes? Then we should know he's an honest client. And he's going to be. So flexes is a word we made up, and these guys should do that kind of stuff. And this is just, I wanted to add pictures of my current hobby or meditation, which is the monks. And that's us. And that's Shizna and me. And away from that Mallu look. Woo! Shizna was much younger. If I had to continue to be married, I better lose weight if she has to be interested in me. So the whole weight loss journey happened. And I asked, thank you for doing this and constantly coming in throughout my life. He's been stalking me. In fact, the first gift which I sent to Shizna when our arranged marriage happened was Ayaz. He had carried this packet, and I was wondering, the first impression with the family is going to be, I was worried if it's a gamble. Is it going to backfire? But luckily he behaved. He was there when Roy was hired. He was there joining the company. At different points, he's been there, and he's constantly called me to push the boundaries or check with me. Are you just focused on money? Are you having fun? Are you lost that? Are you doing work with passion? So he's been a conscience keeper. He does it while laughing. So I don't feel bad when he asks these uncomfortable questions. So thank you so much for doing this, Ayaz.
Hey,
One second. That is done. Thank you, guys.
Nice, very nice.
Awesome. So guys, thank you very much for being here. We have a small behind the scenes video to show you, which is what was supposed to happen actually in the...
I'm curious.
Okay.
Okay, so it's recording. Okay, so instructions for what we need to do, guys. First, Nisha will throw it out to Ayaz to do a thank you, Sajid, whatever, blah, speech. And during that time, we need to keep things ready. So everyone has to have a pair of sunglasses and sellotape or whatever, black mustache, whatever is easy to just put on. And whatever, and a glittery, anything shiny. So that's what we do. And now we're going to play the track. Yankee is our DJ. And DJ Yankee, take it away. Let's show them what we got to do.
Yes, starting.
Glasses first, mustache second. On 3. 4, on 4.
Everybody, wish you a happy New Year.
Happy birthday!
Sing it. Jeez, sing it.
Put the audio.
It looks like Danish State.
I have to agree. We were exactly like this.
It doesn't sing. It's so cute. So cute. Instruction videos also sent out.
And they have good teachers and coaches, man.
Ayaz, Sajid, there is a group which where there are more people than main gate, but you're not part of it, and
I'm feeling so bad.
we hope to keep it like that.
Full FOMO is happening.
We had to
So
keep.
cute. Thank you guys. It's really, really sweet.
We had to go to keep going to main gate and keep making some kind of polite conversation so that you don't suspect that the jokes are being said in another group.
People are saying
Very
Sajid, as a final farewell, I think instead of doing like a hip hip hooray, I thought we could do a hey, what are you saying?
Hey, what do you say?
So guys, hey,
What do you say?
Hey, what do you say?
Hey, what do you say?
Maybe stop the live stream.